4 days ago, Alex Eala was a wild card nobody was talking about. Today, after defeating a Queen's Club champion, a Wimbledon champion, and one of the hottest players on tour, the tennis world is asking a completely different question. Did Berlin just witness the birth of a future Grand Slam champion? Nobody in that stadium knew it at the time. The cameras weren't even pointed at her court. The commentators were talking about someone else. So what actually happened on that grass court? Why did 3 of the most dangerous women in tennis walk in expecting a routine win and walk out looking like they'd seen a ghost? And why, even after it all ended in heartbreak, are people saying this might be the most important loss of the entire season? Stay with me, because this story does not go where you think it goes. Let's set the scene properly, because you need to understand exactly how impossible this was supposed to be. Wildcards are tennis's version of a courtesy invite. You get the spot because someone likes your potential, not because anyone expects you to do damage. The unspoken rule is simple. You're there to gain experience, take a photo with the trophy presenters, maybe steal one match if the stars align, and then disappear quietly before the tournament gets serious. That's the deal. That's always the deal. Alex walked into Berlin under exactly that deal. Low expectations, zero pressure. The kind of invisible status where nobody bothers learning how to pronounce your name on the broadcast. And that invisibility? That was about to become the most dangerous weapon in the draw. Because nobody scouts the wild card. Nobody studies her patterns the night before. Nobody sits in the coaching box with a notepad trying to figure out how to break her serve. She walks onto the court as a question mark, and question marks are exactly the kind of thing elite players hate facing, because you can't prepare for what you don't understand yet. Round 1, Donna Vekic. Not a name you throw around casually. The reigning champion at Queen's Club, a grass court specialist who had just proven weeks earlier that she belonged among the very best on this surface. If you were picking a first-round nightmare for a wild card, this was it. Veteran composure against rookie nerves. Big match experience against someone who'd barely played on this surface at this level. On paper, it wasn't competitive. It wasn't supposed to be competitive. And for a few games, it looked exactly like everyone predicted. Then something shifted. Quietly at first. A clean backhand winner down the line. A serve that landed exactly where it needed to. A point won not through panic, but through patience. The kind of patience you don't expect from someone who's supposed to be overwhelmed by the moment. And slowly, game by game, the match stopped feeling like a mismatch. It started feeling like a warning. When the final point landed, the scoreboard read something nobody had written into the script. Alex had won. The defending Queen's Club champion was gone in the very first round, and almost nobody outside that stadium had noticed yet. That was about to change very, very quickly, because next up was a name that needs no introduction. Elena Rybakina, a Wimbledon champion, a serve that has personally ended the careers of momentum for dozens of opponents. The kind of player who doesn't just beat you, she silences you. If Vekic was a tough test, Rybakina was supposed to be the wake-up call. The moment reality stepped back in. The moment the fairy tale got interrupted by someone with too much firepower and too much pedigree to lose to a teenager riding a lucky run. This was supposed to be where the story ended. It is not where the story ended. Straight sets. Let that sink in for a second, because straight sets against Elena Rybakina doesn't happen by accident. It's a complete, composed, fearless performance against one of the most intimidating servers in the entire sport. Somewhere in that match, something changed inside the stadium. The half-empty outer court started filling up. Phones came out. Group chats started buzzing. People who had never said her name out loud before were suddenly typing it into search bars, trying to figure out who exactly this was and how she had just done what she'd done. Because at that point, this wasn't luck anymore. This was something else entirely, and the tennis world was about to find out exactly how far it could go. And here's the scary part. Beating Rybakina wasn't even the biggest surprise of the week. What happened next forced people to stop calling Alex a Cinderella story and start calling her a genuine threat. If you thought the pressure would ease up after that, you'd be wrong. It only got heavier. Elena Svitolina was next. A veteran in every sense of the word. A fighter who has built an entire career out of making young, hopeful opponents feel exactly how brutal the top of this sport can be. She has broken better players than this before. She has ended more storybook runs than almost anyone on tour. This was the kind of opponent who doesn't just test your skill. She tests your nerve. She tests whether you actually believe you belong here, or whether deep down you're still that wild card waiting to be reminded of your place. And for a set, it looked like maybe, finally, the run was about to hit its ceiling. Svitolina pushed. She probed for weaknesses. She made Alex work for every single point, every single game, refusing to let the match settle into any kind of rhythm. But here's what made this performance different from every previous one. Pressure didn't crack her. It clarified her. Every time Svitolina raised the stakes, Alex matched it. Every time the match threatened to slip away, she found another gear nobody knew she had. And when it ended, the result was the same as before. Another elite name. Another statement win. 3 matches. 3 legitimate top-tier opponents. 3 victories that had absolutely nothing to do with luck and everything. To do with something the tennis world doesn't see very often. A player who looks completely unbothered by the size of the moment she's standing in. And somewhere in the stands, you could feel the shift happening in real time. People weren't just watching anymore. They were leaning forward. They were checking the draw to see who was next. They were starting to believe, the same way she clearly believed, that something bigger than a good week was unfolding in front of them. By now, this wasn't a sleeper story anymore. This was the story. The kind of run that takes over group chats, takes over highlight reels, takes over an entire tournament's narrative whether the organizers planned for it or not. Alex Eala walked into Berlin as a name buried at the bottom of the draw sheet. By the semifinal, she was the headline. She was the reason people who don't normally watch grass court tennis were suddenly tuning in. She was the player every commentator wanted to talk about. The player every rival was quietly studying. The player carrying not just her own ambitions, but the hopes of an entire country watching from thousands of miles away. And right at the peak of all that momentum, right when it felt like absolutely nothing could stop her, the draw handed her the one opponent capable of derailing everything. Not because of a ranking, not because of a trophy case, because of history. Because this particular opponent already knew exactly what it felt like to beat her. Her name was Linda Noskova. And earlier this year, she hadn't just beaten Alex, she'd beaten her convincingly. The kind of result that lingers in the back of your mind. The kind of result that whispers doubt right when you need confidence the most. And Noskova walked onto that court in Berlin clearly remembering it, clearly determined to remind everyone, including Alex herself, exactly who had the upper hand in this particular matchup. From the very first points, you could feel the tone was different. This wasn't a cautious feeling out process. Noskova came out aggressive, sharp on her serve, relentless in taking time away, refusing to let Alex breathe, refusing to let her settle into the calm, controlled rhythm that had carried her through 3 brutal matches already. Every time Alex searched for an opening, Noskova slammed it shut. Every time the crowd rose to their feet sensing another miracle building, Noskova answered with something that pulled the match right back under her control. And here's the part that makes this so hard to watch. Even in hindsight, Alex never stopped fighting. Not for a second. She chased balls she had no business reaching. She searched for answers point after point, game after game, refusing to let the run end without a battle. That heart, that refusal to fold, was the exact same quality that had carried her past Vekic, past Rybakina, past Svitolina. But this time, against this opponent, on this particular day, the answer simply wasn't there. The match slipped away. The dream run, the one that had taken over an entire tournament, came to an end 1 match short of the final. The cruel part wasn't losing. The cruel part was how close the dream suddenly felt. For the first time all week, the final wasn't a fantasy anymore. It was visible. It was real. You could almost reach out and touch it. And that's what made the defeat hurt so much more. And if you stopped the story right there, you'd walk away thinking this was simply a loss. A nice run that fell just short. A feel-good story with a disappointing final chapter. But that is not the story. That is the smallest, most surface-level version of what actually happened in Berlin, and it completely misses the point. Because the real story isn't about the scoreboard. It's about what that scoreboard can never measure. Think about what actually happened across that week. A wild card, someone given the lowest possible expectations. Someone nobody outside her. Own circle believed could make a serious run. Walked through a Queen's Club champion, a Wimbledon champion, and one of the most battle-tested veterans on the entire tour. Not over a season, not over a career. In a single week, that's a player announcing, in the loudest possible way, that she belongs exactly where she stood. And here's why that matters more than any trophy ever could. For years, the conversation around Alex has been built entirely around potential. Future star, rising talent, someone to watch eventually, someday down the road. That word, eventually, has followed her for a long time. Berlin erased it. Nobody talks about potential after a week like this. You don't call someone a future star after they beat a Wimbledon champion in straight sets. You don't call someone a prospect after they take down 3 legitimate top-tier players back to back to back. Berlin wasn't a glimpse of what Alex might become one day. It was proof of what she already is right now, in this exact moment. And that should make every single player left on tour deeply, deeply uncomfortable. Because here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Players don't get worse after a week like this. They get better. Belief is the single hardest thing to manufacture in elite sport. You can train footwork. You can drill serves for hours every single day. But you cannot fake the feeling of knowing, with absolute certainty, that you've already beaten the best players in the world because you've actually done it. That kind of belief doesn't fade. It compounds. It shows up months later in a tiebreak nobody expected her to win. It shows up in the way she walks out for a warm-up against a name that used to feel untouchable. Belief is invisible until the exact moment it isn't, and then it changes everything. So yes, this loss hurts. Of course it hurts. Falling one match short of a final after a run like that is its own particular kind of heartbreak. The kind that sits with you long after the cameras turn off. But every single great career has a chapter exactly like this one. A tournament where the result wasn't a trophy, but a revelation. A week where a player stopped wondering whether they belonged among the elite and simply found out, in real time, in front of the entire tennis world, that they already did. Years from now, when people look back at this stretch of Alex's career, there's a real chance the headline isn't going to be about the semifinal loss at all. It's going to be about the week everything changed. The week a wild card stopped being an afterthought and became a problem every single contender now has to account for. Because here's what's coming next, and this is the part that should genuinely excite you. Wimbledon. The biggest stage grass court tennis has to offer, arriving just weeks after this exact run. And think about how different the landscape looks now compared to before Berlin even started. Before, opponents walked onto the court seeing a wild card, an inexperienced name they didn't need to prepare for, someone they could afford to underestimate. That player no longer exists. Now they see the player who eliminated a Queen's Club champion, the player who dismantled a Wimbledon champion in straight sets, the player who pushed a battle-hardened veteran to her absolute limit and very nearly reached a WTA 500 final on grass, the exact surface that will define the next major. That's not a name you overlook anymore. That's a name you scout. That's a name you game plan around. That's a name that makes every single draw a little more dangerous, no matter who else is in it. And here's what should scare the rest of the draw. Alex is leaving Berlin without the trophy. But she may be leaving with something far more dangerous. Belief. Because when a player discovers she can beat champions, she stops entering tournaments hoping to compete. She enters expecting to win. So let's go back to that scoreboard one more time, because it deserves a second look with everything we now know. Linda Noskova won the semifinal. That result is permanent. It's written into the record books and nothing changes that. But results only tell you who won a single match on a single day. They don't tell you what that match cost the winner in confidence, or what it confirmed for the player who lost. Berlin didn't just give Alex a deep tournament run. It gave her something far more dangerous to the rest of the tour. Undeniable, battle-tested proof. Proof that she belongs in matches like this. Proof that elite opponents are not untouchable to her. proof that the gap between dreaming about greatness and actually competing for it is far smaller than anyone outside her own team realized. The Berlin dream is over. The trophy went elsewhere. But if this week proved anything, it's that the biggest moments of Alex's career aren't behind her. They're still coming. And after everything the tennis world just witnessed unfold on that grass court, every single person watching should be paying very, very close attention to what happens next. Because a few days ago, Alex arrived in Berlin hoping to prove she belonged. She leaves Berlin having forced the entire tennis world to admit that she does. The trophy went somewhere else. The spotlight didn't. Berlin didn't end with Alex lifting a trophy. It ended with something much more powerful. It ended with the tennis world finally paying attention. Because a week ago she arrived as a wild card. Today she leaves as a threat. And if this was only the beginning, then Wimbledon might be where the rest of the world finally realizes what Berlin already discovered. Alex Eala is no longer just the future of tennis. She may already be its present.